Here's Backwoods Billy, coming from Delmarva, Eastern Shore. Remember to click, like, and subscribe to Backwoods Billy Craft Beer Reviews, where we not only do beer, we do wine, we do spirits and food, and we also do some education on that, like look into hop farms, malt houses, all that kind of good stuff. While we're here today, we're going to talk about just a little bit of fermentation vessels. When we talk about different things, there's also where you could pump nitrogen in. You can do closed fermentation versus open fermentation, warm versus cool. We're not going to get into that right now. Very just simple thing, basic vessels. So you're looking at stainless steel being a vessel. You're looking at concrete, terracotta being vessels. And there's other ones, wood. We'll talk a little bit about oak in a minute. And then you can also talk about plastic as well and glass. Basically, stainless steel is going to be the easiest thing to clean. You don't have to worry about too much when you clean it, you know, with warm versus cool versus things like that. When you clean it and use harsh chemicals on it, or I should say harsh, but chemicals that, for example, you couldn't use on wood, terracotta, or concrete. When we're going to ferment in terracotta, which is the clay pots, which years ago was done with wine, even beer, they put them in these clay pots. First of all, if you ferment in this type of vessel, what happens is it by nature is cooler. So the fermentation has a cooler process, which for wine is advantageous, especially because it winds up taking a little bit longer to ferment. Another advantage of these types of things is you can also add a cooling unit to it, as you can with stainless steel, but it only requires stirring of the lees, which in wine, or the yeast, and it's called true at the bottom when it's dead, once a week versus, once on the whole fermentation process versus once or twice a week with wine to move it around. Now, another advantage to it is, since it's got tiny micro fissures in it, little porous holes, this basically helps have some natural things in there to help filter the beer and wine or cider out naturally. As to the fermentation process, and actually concrete creates a natural electricity across it by the way the thing goes, how it's moving in it creates a static charge to it. That's an important thing to think of when you're fermenting something. Stainless steel is to be very clean. If you're doing a wine, you want it more fruity, stainless steel. If you want to add some terracotta pot to it, and you could use that also. If you don't want to filter the wine, using the terracotta and the concrete or another way of going about it, it's much easier not to filter it. Another thing, if you add oak to it or don't add oak to it. Now with concrete and terracotta, you're going to get a natural mineral flavor to this. It's going to add mineral note to it that wouldn't normally be there versus stainless steel. Wood, you're going to have your oak qualities like your coconut, your vanilla. You can get dill, you can get mocha, things like that with the oak. Other spices in there as well. Now, if you ferment in oak, basically you're once and done, it can leak. There's a lot of issues with doing it that way. People tend to do a secondary fermentation and age in oak. But even if you're aging it in the vessels, it winds up being better in stainless steel, clay, or terracotta than the oak. Just a personal opinion. Now, oak and wine is going to add more tannin to the wine. Depending on the wine, you may want more tannin to add more structure to the wine, or add another layer of complexity. With beer, the same thing. You can add a layer of complexity to it, let it age longer, and pick up some of those different notes. And it can, you can also do a blending process between different barrels to create different things. You can also age it with chips. You can get like a sawdust component where you add it and it just becomes part of it. And most will use the stage for the broken apart barrels. So something to think about when you're out there, when you're looking at buying wine or buying beer, is the vessel that was utilized to ferment in. And if you ever get the opportunity to make your own beer, wine, and cider, I suggest you do that, even mead. It gives you an idea and a better understanding how it's made and what the components are. And you'll start to begin to look at different grape varieties and what the characteristics are. You'll look at different hops and the characteristics of what they bring to the table. And you'll look at different malts and what they bring to the table. And same with ciders, apples, and things like that if you're going to add fruits to your wine. Like, for example, adding blackberries, things like that. So it's a Backwoods Billy. 2 thumbs up. Click, like, subscribe. Have an awesome day, guys.